What's good, YouTube? It's your boy King Cody back with another video, man. How y'all feeling tonight, man? Shoot, Taylor Familiar, talk to me. In this video, I'm jumping into it because, I want to get right into it. This is gonna be more of a reaction video from, the guy called Reggie Will. Some of you might know him, some of you might not. But I follow him on TikTok. Well, I don't follow him on TikTok, I think, but I seen him on TikTok. And he has some interesting takes and whatnot. And we're reacting to him reacting to somebody else. And of course, I'm gonna give my thoughts and opinions on it. And of course, I want you guys' thoughts and opinions on it. But I'm gonna play the video right now. And then, we'll get right into it.
Fullmetal Alchemist or One Piece? Which one has a better story?
It's One Piece. One Piece keeps you engaged time and time again. It is
What? One Piece is a better No. Huh? Are you, bro, over 1,000 episodes. I do love One Piece. I love One Piece. What? You're telling me that the anime with over 1,000 episodes is a better story than the one what's how much the Fullmetal? Like 74 or 60, 64? You're joking. One Piece is a pacing issue, bro. It's not 64 WD. Fullmetal is a way better story than One Piece. Way better. Way better. Nice shit,
ridiculously good.
Which one has a better art style?
One Piece's animation back in the day, not the best.
One
What
Piece
you have
now.
now in the newer days with One Piece, it's on another level.
One Piece now better angle. More hype fights.
One Piece has
One
a
Piece.
plethora of fights that are just bangers, one after the other. It's going to be One Piece.
Which one has better written villains?
Besides Greed, I think the villains in
Fullmetal.
Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood are kind of one dimensional.
Fullmetal.
I think that One Piece has the better villains.
Which one has... What is he talking about? One Piece is better written villains? Who? It ain't Kaido. Maybe Doflamingo. Right now it ain't Blackbeard. It ain't Gecko It ain't Magellan. It ain't Crocodile or Buggy. No, he's tripping. Father's way better written. I said maybe Doflamingo. I said maybe. Not even Emu. As of right now, Father is destroying all the villains in One Piece. That's crazy, bro. That's insanity. Better pacing.
We'll give it to Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Easy
I think
Fullmetal.
pacing in that
One Piece
show
is terrible
absolutely
pacing.
perfect.
Which one is a better recommendation for a new anime fan?
I think that the cartoonish style of the earlier One Piece
Don't say One
movies,
Piece.
a lot of people also, I'll give it to Fullmetal for sure.
I'm about to say, you're not about to tell a nigga who's getting an anime to watch 1,000 episodes worth of an anime. That's crazy. Overall, which is the better anime?
Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is a really good show, but One Piece has way more to offer.
Listen, don't disrespect, bro. To say Fullmetal Alchemist is a really good show is kind of crazy. Now, I'm not saying One Piece is terrible. I think One Piece is very good. It's in my top 3. But do not disrespect Fullmetal, bro. When Fullmetal was coming out, at the same time One Piece was coming out, way back when, Fullmetal was destroying One Piece at the time, bro. Fullmetal was destroying One Piece badly. It's like #1 on everything. Overall, I'd say Fullmetal's the better show.
Characters, better plot, better world building. They have a lot more that you can grab off of than Fullmetal. So
Better plot's crazy, dog. Better plot's crazy. The whole story of Fullmetal was way better than One Piece right now, bro.
it's got to be One Piece, in my opinion.
What's the best One Piece arc?
Don't hate me for this. It's Thriller Bark.
Did I get rage baited? I got rage baited. Nigga said the best arc is Thriller Bark, bro. Hold him in anime court! For glazing in the first degree, you are sentenced to your anime code get revoked, 100 years dungeon, and them jeans are too tight, 1,000 years dungeon. I ain't gonna lie. No, he's good, bro. Thriller Bark! Nah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. He had
Okay, after watching that lengthy video, Reggie is a very cool dude, man. From his videos that I be seeing. But let's jump right into it. He said the guy had asked him which has the better story. And me personally, One Piece has the better story. Argue with your mama. I felt like Reggie was tripping personally because, don't get me wrong, I love Fullmetal too, but when I sit here and think about Fullmetal and back on Fullmetal versus One Piece then and Fullmetal then and now, we just gotta. The only reason why, honestly, don't get me wrong, had One Piece stopped, around the same time Fullmetal stopped, or a little bit after Fullmetal, we could argue that Fullmetal probably would have been better, possibly. But since the story has continued on, nah, bro. One Piece is still continuing. It's 1,000+ episodes, but it's 1,000+ episodes for a reason. It's just that good. The story is way better than Fullmetal. I'm sorry. I know Fullmetal may be deeper and whatnot, but One Piece gets deep and political too. If we're just gonna be honest, And, you know, it talks about some real world, you know, ish. So, me personally, One Piece has the better story, hands down. And then he said which had the better art style. And of course, Reggie, you know, felt like One Piece had the better art style at the current One Piece. You know, don't get me wrong. The One Piece back then, the art style was kind of cartoonish, like the guy said in the video. And, you know, a lot of people weren't drawn to it. So back then, Full Metal had the better art style. Hell, you know, Dama had the same art style, honestly, but a little bit better. If we're just gonna be honest, if we put the two better, Dama, you know, we could put that up for debate with the art style versus One Piece now and Dama. But you know, back then, Full Metal had the better art style. Now, not so much versus One Piece now. And Reggie said, when the young man asked the guy, better hype fights, of course, Reggie said One Piece, and the guy said One Piece. And I agree. One Piece does have the better hype fights. That's non-negotiable. You know what I'm saying? We just got to be realistic when we talk about these things. Like from Kaido, from Doflamingo, from Kobe in the Blackbeard Pirates, and Garp in the Blackbeard Pirates. I mean, the list goes on and on. Don't get me wrong. Full Metal has some, you know, pretty decent fights too. But it just, now, me personally, that don't hit the same as the One Piece fights. I'm just going to keep it a bean with you guys. And then the man had asked him, better written villains. Now, Reggie, you know, feels like Full Metal had the better written villains. Me personally, this is kind of debatable. But I personally feel like, and he even said Reggie even possibly said you could say Doflamingo. Maybe Doflamingo is one of the best written, you know, villains. But me personally, from Scar, Scar was probably the only well-written villain. Because, you know, if we just gonna throw the homunculi in there, they really didn't have no purpose. They really just wanted to be evil sons of guns. Like from envy, from greed, from lust, gluttony. And I mean, Bradley, the only and Father wasn't even a well-written villain, to be honest with you. If we just gonna keep it 1,000, like he started off in a flask and he pretty much, you know, wanted acceptance from God. Okay, he wanted acceptance from God, and you consider that. Don't get me wrong. That's understandable why you want acceptance from God. 110%. He wanted acceptance from God. But me personally, Scar was the only well-written villain. And like I said, maybe Father. We could throw Father in there, possibly. But Scar is y'all number one well-written villain in Full Metal. We got Doflamingo. We got Kaido. We got if we just gonna keep it, like, honestly, we can really only just say Doflamingo and Blackbeard, because if you're current in the manga, you know, if you know, you know. Blackbeard, Doflamingo, we got literally one more up on them if we just gonna be 1,000 about it. And possibly Emu when we finally get a little bit of his backstory, if we just gonna be honest. But then the guy had asked who has better pacing. And I have to agree with Reggie on this, and I have to agree with the guys in the video. Full Metal had the better pacing. Of course, everybody knows One Piece has terrible pacing. But at the same time, with studios is redoing all that to make it better pacing. So when that gets redone, honestly, it's going to be like, what more can you say? The pace is finna get redid and be better. So it's like, we can really honestly just say One Piece soon as Wit Studios finally drops their animated version of One Piece. You know what I'm saying? So that's like, One Piece still kind of takes that. But that, that's in the near future. So we'll revisit this when Wit Studios drops. And of course, he asked him what was a better recommendation. Of course, Reggie said Full Metal, and I'm not gonna lie, I recommend Full Metal too. Simply because One Piece is 1,000+ episodes, 1,000+ manga chapters. So it will be kind of hard to digest all of that, and it can seem overwhelming. And I wouldn't recommend that for a first-time anime watcher at all, because it's levels to this. You got to get into this slowly but surely. So honestly, recommending Full Metal first for any first-time anime watchers, or if you're interested in anime, that would be a perfect, first-time recommendation. And then the next question that was asked was better anime overall. Reggie, of course, felt like Full Metal was better overall. And me personally, I can understand why he feels that way, but I'm sorry. One Piece don't have 1,000+ episodes for nothing. One Piece has better world building, better plot, better storytelling. I mean, you can't beat that. And like I said, when Weird Studios fixes the pacing, excuse my French for the wet, you fix the pacing, then One Piece gonna be all the way, number one for real. Don't get me wrong. And then the guy asked him last, what was the best One Piece art? And he said Thriller Bark. And Reggie was like, he's got to be Rage Bang, him. And of course, I can understand why he feels that way. But when I think back on Thriller Bark, I think about, how me personally, the first thing I think about when I think about Thriller Bark is Zoro's loyalty and Sanji's loyalty to Luffy. Like, I can't hold you. That, nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? But if I had to pick an art, me personally, of course, everybody gonna probably pick the same art. I would probably pick the Sabaody Archipelago. Me personally, because that right there showed Luffy he has to get stronger, and it showed him he can't even protect his friends. And if we're gonna take it a step further, that going into Marineford, Luffy got a whole 360. He realized right then and there he's not that guy. He realized through Sabaody to Marineford, finally getting out of Marineford, that dang, I really struggled through all of that. And he knew right then and there he had to grow. If he was going to try to be the king of the pirates, he finally got an understanding of, I got to grow stronger mentally, physically, and emotionally. He knew, like, that's why they took the 2-year time skip. He knew he couldn't do it right then and there, so he had to go get in his bag. You know what I'm saying? But you guys, you know, y'all jump in my comment section and tell me how y'all feel about this video. And, you know, what's your thoughts and think pieces on it. And, you know, like I always say, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Definitely like and subscribe. And, you know, if you want to share, please share. And like I said, comment too, because I love to hear your thoughts, you know. But as always, I love you, Taylor Familia. Peace.